Is there a lesson to be learned from everything? Is any suffering part of what we consider to be life? I think that there's always going to be a duality between good and bad. There's always going to be that light and dark to the world. And I think that it's a necessary something that we need in order to experience what it is to be. Like, you don't know that it's dark until you've been in light, you know? And I think suffering works the same way in facing hardships. And in terms of whether or not those actually contribute to a lesson, I think that to some extent they must. It's as if by allowing ourselves to persevere, we learn how to exist. Life isn't necessarily always going to be an uppity up, happy thing, and I think that expectation is unrealistic and somewhat detrimental to the mental health of many people. Everybody's striving for some sort of perfection within their life when they should be striving for some sort of peace. And peace and perfection aren't the same thing. I think that with addressing your own hardships and the lessons that you learn from everything that you experience, you find peace. It's that knowing that you can get through anything that allows you to kind of take a back seat in a lot of the things that occur in your life. It's easy to get bogged down and focus on every negative thing that could possibly happen to you. I mean, there's a plethora of things that could occur every second. But I think the only good things occur when you kind of alter your own perspective of it. It's not to say that things aren't inherently good or bad, it's to say that you can find good in every situation. Whether that be the lesson learned in terms of like regular situations, any type of traumatic or grievous things obviously will impact you negatively. But in terms of like daily mundane things that we all experience and drag ourselves down because of, I feel like there's always redemption in things like that. And in redemption, it's not like redemption to the external world. It's not like coming back from something crazy. It's just like affirming to yourself that whatever you've been through isn't part of your character. Whatever you've let yourself feel isn't a reflection of you. I think we surprise ourselves a lot each day, and we learn more and more about how we react to certain stimulus. And I think in those some of those reactions, we attach labels to who we are. And I think that that's sometimes good and sometimes bad. But I think any time you associate too much negativity with who you are, you kind of etch yourself to be a negative person. And you start to move in ways that would prescribe you as negative. It's like he who thinks he can and he who thinks he can are both right. If you constantly view yourself as this negative something, a lot of the actions that take place are going to be seen as negative. They most likely will be, because that's all you're letting yourself feed your subconscious. You know, it's like the paradigm. What you feed the subconscious, you feed, or what you feed your conscious, you feed the subconscious, which fuels your reality. Perspective is the most amazing tool we can use to our own benefit. everything can be twisted into a negative circumstance. Anything. And I think it's up to anybody in any situation. It's up to the individual to make a difference, to be somewhat that change that you want to see. Otherwise, you're just gonna see change and start to think that you need to. The box that we allow ourselves to be in is somewhat crazy to think about. It's like this concept of time has allowed us to somewhat ferment our identities in a specific time and place so as to label exactly who we are. And I think that that's not good. You know, it's not like you have a future self or a past self to overcome. It's you are who you are right now, and that's all you can do. Um, and I think people don't realize that they have a lot of the stuff they need right here, right now, and they view themselves as some type of grand project that needs like monumentous steps, or that has crazy end goal. And I think in having goals of perfection as it pertains to your own self improvement are terrible. Terrible in the sense that a lot of the times we just address our endpoint, where we want to end up, rather than addressing all the steps that need to be taken in order to reach that certain something. And growth is not a linear thing. I think we associate growth with time. We expect to be a certain way by a certain point because time's passing, because we have reference. And I think that's just holding us back. Of course, in like a psychology sense, it takes a while to override your current schema, to override your current perspective or current knowledge about a given something. But in terms of your actual actions, the things you can control, to override that, all you have to do is be conscious of what you're doing. Practice being mindful, being present in a lot of these situations so you allow yourself to exist at a higher level. He who opens his heart to love must also bear the risk of feeling hate. That is to say, there's always going to be that nagging, that opposition to whatever idealism you choose to adopt, to whatever feeling you choose to have. There's always going to be that opposite that makes it even more beautiful. It's not consistency that makes these type of emotions stronger or feel better. It's the realization of the contrast. I think that you can be happy for a very long time, but you have to somewhat realize that even if you don't have to experience sadness, but you have to realize that somewhat of that joy is in reference to pain.